today we're pleased to have Dennis Tiernan. Dennis is a longtime friend and retired now past president of NAI Electrical Contractors, NAI and Associates. I've known Dennis since I've come back to the company, and when I took position as president of Story, Dick Johnson, our president at the time, suggested, hey, it would be wise for you to connect with Dennis Tiernan and Mike McCoy from ACI Mechanical as people that have been there and done that before you will have to do that. So I took that advice and have enjoyed a long, rich relationship with both of them, and really eager to hear Dennis share his story today, some of which I suspect I will know, some of which I won't, but it'll be for the betterment of everybody. So yeah, a lot of times we just start in chronology order. So where'd you grow up?
Grew up in Granger, Iowa. I'm the youngest of 9 kids.
9 kids?
Yep.
So how much older is your oldest sibling?
She's 16 years older than I am.
I'll be darned. So she was raising you in some measure, wasn't she?
Yeah, because my dad passed away when I was 5, and so my mom raised us kids all by herself. And she passed away a year and a half after I got married, so when I was 21. So anyway, she did a great job.
Wow.
She kept us all in line.
All right, so nine kids. So how many boys and how many girls?
5 girls and 4 boys.
Okay.
Catholic Irish.
Okay. So did you go to Catholic school?
Yes, and she made sure that we had a Catholic high school in Granger until 65, and then it closed up because just couldn't afford it. And then so I was the youngest, and she says, well, you're going to go to Dowling. Okay, so I rode a bus for the first 3 years from Granger to Dowling.
I'll be darned.
And then that last year I had a car. So I will go there and do that. So anyway.
Huh. So all your siblings went to Catholic school?
Yep.
I'll be darned. As an aside, how many of them are practicing Catholics today?
All of them.
Oh, darn.
Yep. Yeah.
That's great.
COVID kind of really goofed with them a lot, but most of them are that way. Now a lot of my nieces and nephews have ventured off somewhat different ways, but all pretty still good about it.
Yeah, similarly, my wife and I were both raised Catholics, and we're practicing, and our kids are finding their way.
Yep.
Okay, so boy, you go from 0 to 60 really fast.
Yep.
So when you were growing up, like what were some of the things that you enjoyed doing? Like
tinkering with things.
Okay.
Just either working on cars or working on my bicycles.
Okay.
Or just doing things because we didn't have a lot. Didn't have hardly nothing at all.
Yeah.
So it was up to us to, entertain yourselves, do your own thing. Being in a small town, which Granger was only maybe 500 people at that time.
Yep.
And, you just had close friends you did things with, and, just had a good time. You never knew that there was nothing different than that. So
not Little League Baseball, not...
Yeah, we had a little League Baseball. The Catholic school had Parochial League,
sure.
Basketball, and we'd play some of the other small towns around. But that's about it. Didn't ever play no sports.
Okay.
Just did the ones in grade school.
Trombone player in the band?
Nothing.
Nada.
I was rather have my hands dirty working or doing something.
So would you call yourself a motorhead then?
No.
Okay.
Brothers are, but I'm not.
Got it. All right. So you fast forward through Dowling, and then what? What'd you do after that?
Went right to work for Sweeney, Manning, and Seibert. Graduated on Friday, and I went to work on Tuesday because Monday was Memorial Day, and went to work for Sweeney, Manning, and Seibert. So I was only 17.
How'd you get to know them?
Because they're from Granger.
Okay.
And so Manning's, my mom was a Manning, so that wasn't part of it. And then Clem Seibert was just a real good friend of the family. And then Ed Sweeney, me and his son Tom, who works for ACI, were best friends. And so we just did that. Went to work, started digging ditch. I was a plumber for the first year before I was an electrician.
Wow.
Yep.
So is there a reason you're an electrician? Because you were a plumber for a year?
No, it's me and the boss's son, Tom.
Yeah.
We decided over Christmas, in between Christmas and New Year's, we would switch jobs. He was an electrician. We were working at North Polk High School back in 1975.
And that would have been a small town. What town is that even
Alleman.
in? Yeah.
And we decided his dad was a plumber, and here we were both making $3.25 an hour. Let's switch jobs. Here, you can have my tools, and I'll take your tools. And so on Monday, we went back to work, and we just changed jobs. Got our butts chewed really big about that, but it stuck. And kind of the rest is kind of history.
Huh. Yeah. So what's that movie? There's a movie where the twins sort of switch roles and places.
Parent Trap.
Parent Trap. Yeah, you played Parent Trap.
Yeah.
You played Trade Trap
Yep.
at Sweeney Manning and Seibert.
Yep. But yeah, for the first year, I was in ditches. Never knew no different. There's some of those were like 14 to 20 foot deep. Never thought nothing about it. And I was always in the ditch with my brother, Opie, and he goes, "Don't worry, Clem and Butch will watch the dirt." And I says, "What's about watching dirt? Let's go. Let's get the pipe put in," because we were putting in sewer and water mains and stuff like that. And
Sure.
And now I look back at that and I think,
Oh, buddy.
what a bunch of idiots. But
Yeah.
anyway.
So you mentioned your brother.
Mm-hmm.
So out of the 9 siblings, clearly you went into the trades. Any of your other siblings go into the trades?
There's only, no, it was just me and my brother did.
Okay.
He was a plumber, and he was a welder, and he very good at it too. And so the other ones, there's only 2 that went to college. All the rest of us, between working from different organizations, but
Yep.
everybody has always been pretty successful in what they did. And like I said, the 2 that were college educated they were both teachers. And they did that for numerous years, and all the rest of us just went to work.
Yep.
So
All right. So you started out there. Did you just like, yeah, I just want to go to work, or did
Yep.
you have a thought of how you wanted to navigate through the work world?
no, didn't have no idea. I just wanted to go to work. I wasn't that, high school was a struggle for me because I didn't like high school at all, and down there when you come from a class of, in my grade school, there was 8 of us in 8th grade. And then I went to Dowling, which was the old Dowling in those days. And you immediately go to be with, you have 200 and some guys at the old Dowling. And then as soon as when I was a sophomore, we went to the new Dowling where it was co-ed with St. Joseph's. And now there's 400 to 500 of us in a class. And guess what? You're just small town Iowa kid.
Sure.
And all I wanted to do is I wanted to go to school, go home, and go to work because I worked at a grain elevator, I washed cars. I did anything I could to make money because my mom couldn't afford anything. So us kids did what we need to do to help out. So,
All right. So you're working.
Mm-hmm.
How long were you there? What did that work thing look like? And then when did you meet a girl?
So the first year, when I went to work for Carol, when I switched, because we all worked for Sweeney Manning and Seibert in those days, Carol says, "I want you to go to apprenticeship school."
Carol who?
Carol Nickel.
And was he there at Sweeney Manning and Seibert?
Yes, he was.
Too? Okay.
Yep. And he came over from Meisner, and they were trying to get electrical side of it going at Sweeney Manning Seibert. So I says, "Okay, we'll go to apprenticeship school," and that was back in those days. It was at DMAC in Ankeny, and then that year it was, and then it went to Tech High School, and it went to some different ways. So I graduated from the apprenticeship probably in 1980, like 1 week before my first kid was born. So yes, in 1978, met my wife on a blind date. Our brothers knew each other, and so we dated for about a year. Asked her to marry me, and she wanted to marry some hit kid from Granger, Iowa. She was from Des Moines.
Oh, big city.
She's an East Sider too.
Oh, okay.
So she wasn't going to take no bullshit from from this kid. So anyway,
That's right.
But so we got married in 1978 and had our first boy in 1980, and that's about the same time I graduated from apprenticeship. Went and took my journeyman's test up here at the city of Ames. Hal Briley was the inspector at the time, and back in those days, how they did those tests. You sat in his office and you did it on the other side of his desk. You took your test for to become a journeyman.
So it was a one-on-one proctor
It was
exam.
a one-on-one, and I'll never forget all the arguments. And that was before I knew Mark Speck. They'd be out there arguing with Mark Speck out in there. I was down there when they were at the railroad building, and I laughed through the whole thing. I go, okay, I just got to shut up and get this thing done and get out of here. And that afternoon after I got done, within an hour, he came and hunted me down on the job site. There's a feed mill down here on Lincoln Way at that time. And he said, okay, boy, you passed your test. So I go, okay. So, but anyway.
So you were working in Granger. Well, your company was headquartered in Granger,
Yep.
but you came to Ames to take that test.
Yep. Because most of our work was in Ames. Like one of the first jobs I worked on was Butler Manufacturing, which is now American Packaging.
Okay.
Back in the days, and that was with Marty Martinson. Oh, what a hoot. He used to give me so much hard time as a young punk little kid. So a lot of the work we did, we went from there, and then we went to do work at Mary Greeley. So many of their jobs were, in Ames, either for the university and stuff like that. So it was just, and Carroll had the electrical office out on his farm here south of Ames.
Got it.
So anyway, that's why it just went that way.
All right. So keep rolling, because you've mentioned Carroll before.
Yep.
So Carroll Nickel, you and he were together.
Yep.
And then ultimately, how did he go forward?
In 1985, I was starting to be a little bit disgruntled. Just I go, okay, I have a family to take care of now and stuff like that. And I says, I need to make more money. And I says, I think at that time, I was making $7 an hour, something like that. And I says, I got to do something different, Carol. And he says, well, why don't you just hang on? We're gonna try something. And I says, well, I got to know, what you're thinking about. And so at that time, it was late 84, early 85. He goes, well, he says, we're going to buy out the electrical side of Sweeney Manning and Seibert and start our own business. And I go, okay. So at that time, I'm 28 years old. And so he started down this path. And so there were 6 of us. The start of Nickel and Associates, or NAI Electrical Contractors. There was Carol Nickel. There's Craig Gilman, Ken Pedersen, Tim Lawson, Randy Burkhart, and myself. And out of those 6, yes, I was the youngest one out of those 6. And so Carol was probably about 11 years older than I was. But there's one thing about, we all work together. We all work on jobs. We do all these things, different things, and you are always learning every day about everything to, what to do and how to do it. Not so much safely, because you learn a lot more about how you do it safely, but we did it that way. And so, in March 1st of 1985 is when NAI Electrical, or Nickel and Associates, began. And so at that time, we took over different contracts from the Sweeney Manning and Seibert that was electrical.
Yep.
And then we just did that, and so we slowly started picking up our own small little jobs. And we just thought, okay, if we maybe do, $500,000 to $1 million worth of work in a year. Okay, we'll get by. And we had there was us 6, and then there was probably 3 other employees. All there was. And so what we would do as owners, we'd work every weekend and every night to cover our cost to try to give us seed money, because we went and signed out a loan for all of us.
Yep.
You know, Carol owned 50%, and all of us owned 10%. Carol owned 25,001 share, I think, and we all owned 5,000 shares.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and that's kind of the start of how it went. And then, you know, we were out at his farm for about the first year. So in '86 is when we moved to the house or building down at 728 East Lincoln Way.
Right.
And then, you know, just started doing the things there. And you know, it was always a very modest place. It wasn't no Taj Mahal by any way, shape, or form. But we did that, and we just continued to grow. And there's one thing about it. I'll never forget, somebody says, "What do you do to have fun?" I said, "I go to work." Because I thought work was fun. Because anything you can learn to do with your hands and then teach somebody else, because I love working with my hands. And so, but one of the things, too, when we came over, they decided, okay, we need somebody to do estimating. And here I'm the youngest one, and I really don't want to go do this. I love working with my hands. So half my time I spent in the office, and I couldn't wait for the end of the day where I could go actually back out and do the work. So anyway, but then all these years later, it's just story's done. You know how.
So you started with 6.
Yep.
So you described you were part-time estimating, part-time on-site.
Mm-hmm.
How about the other 5?
They were all project managers or, you know, superintendents on the jobs.
Okay.
You know, and so at our peak, which was when Barilla was being built out here, I think, and we were also doing Howell Hall on University, we had over 100, close to 150, 160 people. And it was a fiasco. I'll just say it that way, because it's not that we couldn't manage them. It was just we weren't making the money that we thought we should be for the risk you're taking, you know, and stuff like that. And slowly after that, we just got ourselves back down to about 125. And here, probably for the last 10 years, the company's been at right around 100. And it's a sweet spot where, we do well, or they have done well and continue to do well.
Yep.
So
I know Carol a little, not nearly like you.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, describe Carol. What kind of a guy is he like, and what's he like to work with?
Carol, he had a business mind to him, and because he's the one who started this whole thing. He really did. He did the legwork between working with not only the bonding company and the banks and the different lawyers. He's the one who started it, and us 5, went along, and we just did how we can get the things done. He's Dutch. He's cheap.
Yeah.
And there's some things like, we do this things the farmer way. And I says, but, he was a smart man, and he knew how to, get everybody on the same page. But also, is kind of his way. And, even when some of us had opinions, it sometimes got overrode. But
sure,
all in all, it was for the best of the company. And it's one of the things that I tried to continue on, when Carol retired, which was somewhere around 2001 or 2003, is it's us, it's not me, it's not I, it's an us thing. It's how we as a group of people can make the best of this and be the best company we can be.
Yep.
So anyway, we did well.
All right. So you started in 1985, and Carol was the most senior, at least the one to start, a lot your senior. So what did the transition process look like then at NAI from Carol starting to back away from the forefront and you coming to the forefront?
So for all those years, I worked in the office with Carol. And so I always kind of knew how he did things, what he did. He kind of started doing a lot of the design build things, and he would sketch and do different things. And I understand none of us had all of us at that time, there's none of us who are college educated.
Sure.
In fact, to this day, I think there's 30 some owners. There's only probably 2 of them who's ever been through college. All the rest of us worked our way up through the field.
Yep.
So, but back, when, as we were going along and, in 98, we brought in an additional 5 people in. We let them buy in, and they were all younger, and so what we had a thought in our mind is that we would just always build it so that it could always continue on, so that, we do this, and then the younger people could take over. And so for the longest time, so that was in 98 when we brought in an additional 5 people, and they were all of our other licensed journeymen, and they were all, superintendents, and they're already running work and stuff for themselves anyway. And so we just kind of brought them along, and then Carol decided it was time for him to exit. And his wife was having some health issues and stuff like that. And I says, okay. I says, and so it was just baptism by fire. Here, Dennis, you're going to do this stuff from now on. So Carol hung around for probably 2 to 3 years, just in a part-time basis, making sure if there's any questions and stuff like that. And so, and at that time, one of the newer owners, was one of our lead project managers who did a lot of our bigger projects. I kind of tapped him to be the vice president and to be the person who was eventually going to follow me up as just my right hand. And his name was Jay Runstead, and he knew how to organize, and he knew how to get things done, through all the different people. And so when you talk about the original 6, there was 3 of them who were all the same age. Carol, Ken, and Craig were all the same age. And so they all hung around, and they all kind of about left at the same time. Sure. And here I was the last of the Mohicans when I left at the end of 21. And all the other ones had retired close to their 62nd or 65th birthday. So anyway.
So you sat in that chair at NAI then for over 20 years.
Close to it, yep. Yep.
It's a long time.
Yeah, it is. It is, and but it was only because of the other people I had underneath me. Those guys, it was us. I always stress that. It's us. It ain't me, and it ain't I who done this thing. It's, it's the group of people. And if you have good people on your team, you'll do well. And I was never the dictator type that says, okay, we'll rule by consensus of how we do this thing. Sure. And how we run the company and how we do the different things. And it always seemed to work well. And when you had to do what you had to do when you're the president, not a problem. We just did it, what we needed to do.
Yeah, so you're describing some leadership that you saw modeled, and then what you took from all that and how you tried to incorporate it. So What, as you think through your time in the industry, who were those role models that you looked to that helped to shape how you thought about things, how you did things, whether they were at NAI or elsewhere?
Of course, Carol and some of the guys there, that's why I tried to mimic, but I knew the things I wanted to kind of do different myself. Always had a lot of trust in Craig Hansen from Holmes Murphy. If I ever had questions I wanted to ask about different things towards business, I would always call and talk to him. We had a good relationship with some different bankers, and there's it's one thing that I guess I was always kind of proud of. I says within 2 years after Carol leaving, we never again ever borrowed money. never again. I says, we're going to hold the money within the company, always make ourselves solvent so that we're not ever beholden to any bank,
Right.
anything. But I also took their advice on a lot of things. Between that and our accounting firm, which was D.D. Pyle at the time, and then we switched over to Hogan Hansen when D.D. Pyle our CPA retired and stuff like that. So I used some of those people, and then through Associated Builders and Contractors, ABC of Iowa, there was many contacts there that I knew and respected. And I feel that they respected us as who we were, and I would call and ask them questions. And through different peer groups, through that, where you could have questions and you could ask questions of people that maybe weren't your competition about different things on how to treat people. Understand, if you treat people, you can expect to be treated the same way. And that's one thing I can say about you folks. You folks always respected us, and we always look to you guys too. Even back in the days when, like I said about Marty, and I remember Cliff Rogers and some of those people when I was a teenager, and even they told you how it ought to be done and how you treat people, whether it be the people you work with or even your customers, on how you do it and stuff like that.
So you guys have multiple offices for a fairly small company. Where have you or do you have offices, and how did that happen?
So we have an office in Lamar's. Lamar's is probably, it's not the first one, but we have one in Lamar's, and we have people that live there. We have probably a half a dozen people that live in that area. Okay. And so they kind of work out of that area for Northwest Iowa. Probably the longest one we had would have been we had it in Unionville, Missouri for a while we were doing the PFS plant down in Milan, which you folks worked on that too. Yep. And then so we eventually brought that office into Centerville so that all of our offices would be located in Iowa. And so that handles pretty much the southern part and even the northern part of Missouri. And then we have one in Marshalltown, which handles all the customers over there, which JBS and Lennox and some of those people over there are some of our large customers over there, so that we have people in the area so that people ain't always traveling.
Right.
And then our last office that we opened up was in Waterloo, because we have different people that live up that way. Everything's handled, a lot of the paperwork wise is handled out of Ames.
Right.
But for them to have a home base and have materials and have, where they can go do work and stay close to their jobs. So that's where we have those at. And they're satellites, but they're really not, all the phones ring here in Ames, but that's where they can call home.
Yep.
So.
So yeah, you bought a building a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. How has that changed or enhanced the way that NAI works?
It does, because it gives everybody space to do their thing, because when we went from 728 East Linkway up to 2730 Ford, which used to be, it's an engineering firm, I think. I'm trying to think who it was.
Was it Bolton & Mank?
There you go, Bolton & Mank. That's who it was.
Okay.
Bolton & Mank. And so we bought that, and it just gave us, so much space there that we could have all of our training there. We could do, everything there, and everybody could have their own space and do what they needed to do. And it was a nice facility too. It's something you could be proud of to come into there. Yep. Versus when you walked into our old office, it was an old house.
Yeah.
That's what it was. So
yeah, as you think about projects that either you personally were involved with and therefore, I guess, NAI, what are some of the ones that you think back on and say, man, that was a big deal, or that was special, that was unique?
Yeah, I thought about that, and I think all the work we've done at Mary Greeley, even from back in the days when Charlie Bell from Story, when you guys were the managers of all that, all the work that we did at Mary Greeley and, help build something that is very important to this city, and being a part of that. And to this day, I think we still have people that are almost there every day, whether it's doing maintenance. Yeah, we haven't done every contract there.
Right.
We've done a larger number of them, but, they got rid of all their service people within the hospital for electrical and just hired us to do it because they found it more efficient. I can tell you to go away where I can't tell an employee to go away.
Yep.
So that one was very important to us. All the things that happened even after the storm went through over in Marshalltown and helping Lennox get back up on their feet and stuff. I know that we had a lot of people over there for a lot of time, and some of the stuff helping, Marshalltown and some of those areas over there, we've done so many projects out at ISU, pretty proud of all of them, whether
Right.
it be, putting up the scoreboards at the football stadium, or even I remember when I was on the crew that put the first hanging scoreboard in Hilton Coliseum back when it was Fair Play. And between, Don Barber and all the stuff that we had to do up in that roof of that building to support all that stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy up there.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely crazy. You wouldn't know when you look up there that there's that much space up above that ceiling.
No.
So, but you just didn't ever look down very often
Yeah.
when you're up there on the catwalks running around. So those things, like I say, we've done so many projects out at ISU. Pretty proud of all that stuff.
So you've been plugged into a number of industry associations, and you've been the face of NAI in many regards. The time that you've been there. So, what are some noteworthy relationships that either you will miss or that you've kept rolling with?
Yeah, working with ABC of Iowa, it was always it was fun doing it. I've served on the board, and I opted out when they wanted me to be the chairman just because I seen how much time it took for the people, and I just didn't think I could give that much time to it because some of the partners within our organization, we have expectations for each one of us
Yep.
to do our part in the company, and so I just didn't feel I could do what I seen other people do, which they're very good at it, and kudos to them folks who do put that much time to these different organizations. Pretty proud of what ABC did, helping with legislative things, and I never used to think I'd ever be involved with politics, but it's like the old saying used to be: if you ain't involved, you're going to be behind, or you got to be involved in it because it's what your business depends on. So I was involved with that, and still keep track of them and stuff like that, and wasn't ever that involved with the Master Builders of Iowa, but I always thought it was a great resource to call people, and talk to people there, because good group of people, and just didn't ever have that much association with any of them.
You guys got plugged into some Ames things a little bit, some community things as well.
We're always part of the Ames Seed Capital funds, and still are. I believe they are. And, doing different things with ISU Foundation and stuff too. We try to do our part with some of those things too, just to be a part of that and different things. Try to give back to the city and a lot of the different communities around here. Just to be a part of it.
So you've been retired now for a little over a year. I know you were very intentional about the process of stepping back and having succession planning at the company and whatnot. So what does that look like today, and what are your reflections on that process?
We probably started at say 2 or 3 years before I left. And we were a little bit slow out of the chute about it, but pretty proud of what the guys did. And, I did the different things what I needed to do with the accounting part of it, because we have a holding company that holds all of our different things. And so that's where my main emphasis was probably the last 2 years I was there. And so me passing that baton off, the electrical side of it, I'm going to say that between Jay, Mark, and Chris Burkhart, which Chris Burkhart is now the president of Nickel and Associates. He took over being the president. They kind of handled all those things towards how the electrical, taking care of that portion of it, and kind of made it seamless, I think, in a way. So I think they did well. And they do things different than I did. And sometimes you look back on that, okay, you wanted to change when Carol left. Why do you have a hard time seeing these people change? But it's just different people, and that's fine with me.
Yep. All right, so it's been a little over a year. So what have you been doing then in your retirement?
Not a whole lot, be honest with you. We go to Florida in the wintertime. We bought a place here a few years ago down there and then changed places about a year ago. I bought one in Fort Myers. So we got to see how a house went through a hurricane. So that was, knock on wood, that nothing happened other than losing a bunch of trees, but that's okay. Everything's still there. I haven't been there since it happened, but the neighbor says it's fine.
Sure.
So, helping out with, my wife was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2013, and as it progresses, it's a thing that, you try to, help and do what you need to do there on that thing. So that is my main focus. She put up with all my garbage for all these years of me being gone working and stuff like that. So you know what? I can do what I got to do.
Yep.
That and have 7 grandkids and, and enjoying the heck out of that too.
So where are your kids and grandkids?
So the oldest boy, which has 2 daughters, they live in Ankeny. He works for a company out of Chicago and does fantastic. And his wife is a nurse practitioner that just started her own business a month ago.
Over there.
And then they have 2 girls, and then the other son lives in Ankeny too, where he's the vice president of treasury at Bankers Trust. Done really well for himself, and they live in Ankeny, and they have a girl and a boy, and his wife works from home, works for a company out of her house. And then my youngest works for Holmes Murphy in Kansas City and has since the day he graduated from college down there as a property casualty agent, sells insurance. And they got 3 little ones in Lenexa, Kansas. So anyway.
So pretty close.
Yeah, they're pretty close, yeah. They're within 3.5 hours of driving if we need to drive.
Well, you had a long, really good run in this industry. Mm-hmm. You've seen a lot of young people. In fact, at the breakfast a couple weeks ago, I thought, holy cow, just seems like there's a bunch of babies at NAI right now. And I mean that in a good way. They're doing something to recruit young people. Yep. So what wisdom would you pass along to young people or people early in their career in this industry? How would you advise them?
The generations are so different than back, say, when I was a kid. All I wanted to do was work. All I wanted to do was go earn a buck. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to go have fun and learn everything I can with my hands. And as I used to tell the young people whenever I would talk to them when they came, I says, this is your oyster. You can make anything out of this thing you want to. I says, you want to work hard and do your things. I says, we have kind of a unique situation here that, everybody who's a partner in this company has all worked their way through this company and is got to be where they're at by doing that. And it's by working hard, showing up when you're supposed to show up, doing your things you need to do, always treating the customer with respect, and doing the best work you can and staying safe. And because safety is such a big deal in this industry, where maybe we didn't used to be the best at it, but I feel that our industry as a whole has come so far in the last, say, 20 years. And it is so glad to see that, because it just, every time I hear of something happening in the construction industry, it's devastating as far as I'm concerned, because I've been through it and I don't ever want to see anybody ever go through it.
Yeah,
So anyway, just work hard, put your nose to the grindstone, and just get things done. It's rewarding. I think it's rewarding.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun doing it.
Even when you're mad, you have a smile on your
Yep.
face.
Gotta be. Life's too short. You know, you gotta enjoy every bit of life because you never know.
Yep. Good. Thanks for coming in.
Not a problem. Thank you. Sorry it took me so long to get here.
It's more important that it happened than when it happened. There you have it, straight from Dennis's mouth. Fascinating. There are a lot of things I didn't know about really how the company started, about Dennis's upbringing, being the last of 9 children, and about the really entrepreneur that Carol Nickel and Dennis and that team of people that purchased the electrical division and went forward with. So very cool, very successful, very charming, and clearly I can tell that Dennis is enjoying retirement, and we're all better off for having known and worked with him. Thanks, Dennis.